Good morning. It's pretty good energy. Good morning. Good morning. So I have to ask, I have to do this. This is an opportunity. So I have a bit of a heavy heart because we had to put our dog down on Wednesday. And he's been around the family for 15 years. And so I thought that we could do something so 100 cities would know, but also that Tipper would know that we are giving him a little love. Right? And so it needs to be satisfying like his favorite treat, which was Cheez-Its. So you have to give the requisite amount of energy, right, and applause and yelling and screaming, right, for just a brief moment to let Tipper know that we appreciate his 15 years. Would you indulge me? Tipper, we love you. Please. Well done. So, please know that you just allowed me some brownie points right there because my bonus daughter, I don't call her my stepdaughter, it's my bonus daughter, that was her dog. And so I'm going to let them know you need to watch this video because there's a special moment, right? So you guys just got me some kitchen passes, which are cool, so I appreciate that. So one of the things that I really thought about was the fact that I rarely get to do publicly held events in my backyard. So this is a really special moment for me, and I was letting Celie know how special this was, that I really wanted to put together something unique and exclusive for all of you. And so I'm actually going to be showing you 2 videos that no one else has seen. They won't see in the post video production of this, so it won't be shown. It's only going to be exclusive to you guys. In the military, we called it For Your Eyes Only, FYEO. So you're the only ones that'll see these 2 videos, and it'll be a special moment because I wanted to make sure that I honored you all, because this city has honored me. This city has been amazing for me. I like to say this city allowed me to fly my freak flag. I discovered a lot about myself being here in Portland, and it's nearly 17 years now that I've been here. And so I thought that what I would share with you all is some ideas and some thoughts around something that I wake up to every day. If we were able to attach a personal hashtag, if each of us thought about our hashtag, right? Because people always tag things, but what would your personal hashtag be, the one that you live by on a daily basis? So mine is this, GSD. Get stuff done if we're G-rated, get shit done if we're, just family here, right? GSD every single day. That's what I wake up to. That's an attitude, right? It is an intention, and it's about advancing things, advancing ideas, and I do that every single morning. I think about how I'm going to do that, how I'm going to activate, how I'm going to partner, how I'm going to connect, all these things. And so I thought I would share with you all some of my thoughts around this attitude and intention, but also to demonstrate to you how I practice it and how it started very early in my life. I didn't have these words or ideas, but I absolutely had a thrust of spirit to do this. And then as I got older, I started to understand all the things really attached to this and all the learnings and teachings that I got from an attitude that started very early. And so in my childhood, it was a necessity. So I had a hard scrabble life, a lot of dysfunction and upheaval because of my parents being addicts. They made a lot of bad decisions. And so I had to make a big decision. I had to do, as my grandfather said, he talked about the fact that you have to want to every day. He would always say, you can't do anything with a broke want to. You gotta want to be different, gotta want to be better, gotta want to make your dreams real. And he would also say, don't talk about it, be about it. There's lots of talkers and very few doers. Which one are you, Kevin? Don't talk about it, be about it. Lots of talkers and very few doers, but which one are you? And that's a decision we make on a daily basis, right? To be about action or not, to be about advancing things or not. And I started that very early in my childhood, and it was really interesting because a ball was that moment. So this ball, and I always bring a ball of some sort around, is representative of my chase, my pursuit of something better, something that would allow me to change my circumstances, something that would allow me to believe that my circumstances weren't going to dictate my destiny, that I was going to find a way to rise above. And so this simple little icon represents my chase, but it also represents a lot of other things. It represents the fact that I loved books very early. Because of that ball, I discovered a public library because it was in our neighborhood near a playground. I started loving books so much that I really, really wanted to get good at my schoolwork and achieve there. And I started to understand also this word grit. And grit is directly associated, they've done a lot of research, with achievement. So people who are a bit stubborn, who won't just surrender, who really have a lot of fight and they're not victims. And I discovered that very early in my childhood, and the ball represents that. So every time I see children at play, I think about all these moments in my life. And one of the things that I realized, it was a catalyst in my life. It absolutely was. If it wasn't for that ball, I'm not standing in front of you all right here, right now, but also a few other factors that catalyzed my life. And so as I started to understand this catalyst, the ball, the opportunities, it really made me think about commitment. And there's a beautiful poem from W.N. Murray from the Scottish Himalayan Expedition. He talks about commitment in this way. Until one is committed, there is hesitancy, the chance to draw back, always ineffectiveness. Concerning all acts of initiative and creation, there is one elementary truth: the ignorance which kills countless ideas and splendid plans. The moment one deftly commits oneself, then providence moves too. All sorts of things occur that would otherwise never have occurred. A whole series of events issues from that decision, raising in one's favor all manner of unforeseen incidents, meetings, and material assistance which no one could have ever dreamt would come their way. That last part, all manner of unforeseen incidents, meetings, and material assistance which no one could have ever dreamt, comes their way. That's what happened in my life when I discovered that ball, and it catalyzed all of those things, unforeseen incidents, meetings, and material assistance, to allow me to rise above. And so that's when I started to think about what I wanted to share with you all around get shit done or get stuff done. I learned that early, but here's what I think really were the things that allowed me to do that. So one of the first things I learned about in childhood was about humility and wonder. I think this quote really captures it beautifully. I have no special talents. I'm only passionately curious. Albert Einstein, I have no special talents? No, right? That's humility. But I am passionately curious every single day, taking a moment to look up, to not only be looking down at a device or a screen and thinking that all the answers are there, when we have this amazing screen called life, where everything's in HD and 3D. What? Mind blown. Who knew, right? Sometimes it's a benefit to look up and see the big screen. Sometimes the answers are there right in front of you, but you have to be willing to be present, don't you? And that takes a lot of discipline and a lot of energy. And it's not easy to do that. And I started to really realize that energy was really important for me. Movement's my mojo, I know that. Movement is the thing that allows me to go after, right? It refuels me and replenishes me. But all of us in here need to know what replenishes us. What's our energy source that allows us to get after things, to GSD, to take action, to manifest, to turn ideas into reality. You need to know that, and you need to keep that close. You have to keep it close. Always on the ready, because there's going to be those days where you question, where you don't believe, where you get a hater. And I always like to say, haters are my motivators, right? But there's going to be haters, aren't they? Right? They're going to push back against you. They're going to tell you it's not possible. Had I listened to all those people in my life, there's no way I'd be standing here in front of you all right here, right now. The social workers wrote us off, me and my two brothers. We defied the odds, as they say. But I think we really had this ornery spirit. It was playful and loving, but it was ornery, right? We weren't going to surrender. We were going to fight. And so those things, I think, really are the key. But this last piece is critical. Knowing you can't do it alone. Building community. If you want to turn an idea into reality, you want to take action, you want to move an idea forward, you got to have people around you that are also challenging you, surrounding you, believing in you, and pushing you, and holding you accountable. Checking in and saying, how's that idea going? What have you done with that? Each and every one of us needs to think about our community. I learned about community at Preston Playground in my childhood. Eclectic, crazy, ridiculous group of people, right? From drug dealers to drug users. From my parents' friends, my parents weren't there, but I met their friends, to the friends and their parents. From Tommy and Norman and Docky and Curtis and Clifford and Darby and TT and Taz, all these people came through that playground. It was a center, the epicenter of our energy in the neighborhood. Everybody knew our story, and so all of them decided that they were going to lift us up, me and my two brothers. They were going to pour into us whatever they could, whatever wisdom and knowledge to assist us. And each and every one of us gleaned from them, but I gleaned from one very specific person. My best friend's mom, Phyllis Lane. I call Miss Lane my CEO, my chief encouragement officer of my dreams. Miss Lane was this very important person, my catalyst, personal catalyst. 46-year-long friendship. She passed away 2 years ago. Miss Lane was 83. We were friends from the time I was 9 right up to her passing. One of the things that was so powerful about Miss Lane, it wasn't enough to have an idea. She'd always give you permission with 2 words. Why not? But then she'd want to see what you would do with it. Now I'm going to check to see what you did with that idea. She'd hold you accountable. I learned about accountability at 9 years old. I learned that you had to do follow through. It wasn't enough to have a whimsical idea. You had to do something with it. So you think about all those factors, humility and wonder, the absolute idea of energy, and a community surrounding you. I had no choice but to get stuff done. It was the right formula for me. And so I thought I would share with you all some stories and some projects that I've been involved with recently that really demonstrate this, that I'm practicing it on an active basis, but on a daily basis I try to do this. So the Art of Sportless Play was an art exhibit that I put on in 3 cities, in St. Louis, Portland, Oregon, and Norman, Oklahoma. But I want to talk about what happened here. And so there's an individual, I can see him in the audience, Jeff Gettler. Jeff Gettler and I meet fairly regularly for coffee and chat up stuff. And there's another individual here, Denise DDQ Ransom. And so that DDQ stands for Denise Delight Quotient. So you have to meet that quotient on a regular basis, right? Or she didn't have a good time with you, so she'll tell you if you hit the quotient or not. So these 2 individuals I had this conversation with after I've had my art exhibit in St. Louis, and I said, I really want to bring it to Portland. What do you think? And we start collaborating. Jeff is then at the time at Fiction Agency. He talks to that group. They want to chime in. We get Mercy Corps to be the location. And Denise, being all things, the project manager, helps everything come together. And this project really was powerful. We got a chance to do so many things in the city here. I was so inspired by the fact that so many people rallied, from Wyden and Kennedy to the Portland Thorns and Timbers, Scraps, Mercy Corps, Moda Health. All of them came behind this to support us. It was really beautiful to watch this. But even more so, what happened was community. We did so many great activations and experiences within the community around this art project. And so one of the things that I started to understand was I can't do this alone. I have to have a core team of people to assist me, right? Even if it's not just this project, but any project that I do. So it was a great lesson to understand the importance of rallying yourself with other people, instigators, creative sympathizers, whatever you want to call them, but people who believe in your ideas, but also they add to it. They add their special sauce, their uniqueness, their creative energy, their genius. And so I started to understand that more and more. And so I got a chance to do something with Nike. And it was really a special project because it wasn't something that Nike actually broadcast out into the world. They did it, it was very Shakespearean, I like to say. It was during the World Basketball Festival in Chicago. They decided to do a play within the play. That's a Shakespeare thing, right? So they did a little moment within this big moment around the World Basketball Festival and the U.S. men's national basketball team going over to the World Championships being played, I believe it was in Brazil. And what they decided to do was that with all of the violence that was happening in Chicago, it wasn't enough just to put on a big festival of basketball. They wanted to do something to have impact. So they decided to do a moment for these students from Chicago Public Schools. They decided that they were going to have a small workshop for them called Learn Your Game. They were actually going to work with leadership, goal setting, and even more so building community for students from all over the city that were part of Chicago Public Schools. And then they were going to take that to a bigger moment where they would invite more students. So it was a small group of about 100 that grew into nearly 600 when we did Shy Talk. We basically took the TED idea and made it Chicago focused with only Chicago voices, and we called it Shy Talk. And it was so beautiful to see 600 students get that TED experience. So literally, like a big TED or TEDx, it was that level of production. These students were overwhelmed to hear from voices like Scottie Pippen and Sheryl Swoopes, Common, filmmakers, journalists, all from Chicago, telling them that anything is possible. You can rise above your circumstances. This doesn't have to define who you are. They gave them hope when a lot of those students didn't have any hope. They really were saying, well, I'm probably not going to live past 17. Look at all the violence, the random gunfire. On one weekend, a couple years ago, they had 60 shootings. 60 in a weekend. Mostly children perpetrating them against other children. So they decided to do this, and I thought it was so powerful that it started with a little inkling of an idea between a couple people. And then they brought me in to partner with them because they said, Kevin, you've got this great social innovation energy. You've got ideas. So we met in my office space, and it was so beautiful because, right, so many great ideas are hatched in basements, right? And my office is in the basement of a building. Right? I also do that because I'm off the grid, so you really can't reach me. So it's kind of my black-born thing that I do. Some of you got that joke. So we met, and it was B, DV, Dreams and Hope Baby, Brother Mark, right? And then a host of other people came into play. The central office of Nike, right? Vanessa, J-Rod, Cassie, Robin, Jean, Ro, O, Optimus Agency. And we pulled this thing off in such a short amount of time. And it was phenomenal. And I'll show you a little more detail about that when we get to the end of my presentation. It was so moving and so inspiring. Common came twice in 1 week because he was so inspired by it. So I think when you really realize the fact that we can have impact well beyond, but we have to stand for something. And so we actually made the students come up with a credo, a statement of our beliefs that drive our actions. That's a credo, right? And so we actually shared with them this idea of putting together a credo. And so I brought a credo that I created for us. And so I'm going to give a few of these away, but I thought I would just demonstrate to you how powerful a credo can be. When we rise and hit these streets, we bring everything we love. Our dreams, our fam, our community, our biz. We believe that the game of life is more than a game to us. We never see obstacles, we always see opportunities. Our ideas and our actions matter. So, my dreams, my fam, my community, my biz can count on me to listen, learn, lead, and show up. Because my goal is to rise up and to make a difference and have an impact. And each and every one of us that took the time to get up this morning, that's what you're about. You made that choice. You didn't have to be here. We're very busy people. We have busy lives. But for you to want to seek out some encouragement, some inspiration, who am I not to give you as much as I can in this short window of time? So I prepared these things. This has not been done before. This is a special one that I created for this moment. I'm going to give a few of these away. One of the things that I like to do, right, is that now there's like this anticipation. Who's he going to give them away to? So I always identify a special group. And so I decided, in the fact that we're in a specific month, if your birthday's in August, would you please put your hand up? Oh, I love it. Stand up really quickly so I can kind of scan and I can see you. Brilliant. So, there's August envy in the room right now. August envy in the room right now. And I got a feeling that the number's going to grow because, damn, I'm going to be August. He ain't see me. So, each of you, at some point, you're going to get a chance to come and pick something out of this box, right? And from this stack of books, right? Maybe you'll get a couple things. So is that fair? So make sure you look around because, you know, there may be an interloper or somebody that's going to try to come and get in there, right? Right? Is that good? Brilliant. Denise, this is for you. So, you know the deal, right? I have to give one other one, and there's a dear friend of mine, and I'm looking right at you. Marcus Swanson, you are, there's no words. So this is for you. Can we pass that back to Marcus? Thank you. So, our ideas and our actions matter. So the more that we start to think about these ideas, I had this opportunity. It came out of the blue, never anticipated it. I got a chance to shoot a TV show. We just got done shooting it. I did it for 4 months. I actually worked with 4 individuals on the East Coast. They're from New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Maryland, and I was their career coach, their career catalyst. Think of MTV's Made for Adults meets The Wizard of Oz. That's replaced. So literally, it's that kind of a mashup. So it's people who want to remake their career journey. They've lost their way. Their success story has taken a detour. But also, they need something. They're requesting something. Can I get confidence? Can I get my voice back? Can I find passion? Can I be inspired daily? So that's where we got that idea of using the analogy, basically, of MTV Made meets The Wizard of Oz. But imagine that I had never anticipated I would meet an individual as part of the crew that would inspire me. His name is Ronnie Krenzel. He's the executive producer for the show. I never thought I'd meet another diabolical genius like myself. Ronnie was magical with what he could do to get people to share their narrative in a vulnerable and courageous way. And one of the things that I loved about Ronnie was this fact. He never saw any obstacles as we were shooting the show. He always saw opportunities, and he would zig instead of zag. He was agile and nimble, and he was playful the whole time. And this was serious because people were divulging and sharing things that really allowed them to lose their way. So they were very vulnerable. And he found a way to get them always excited and inspired. And I really just loved being around him. We forged this amazing friendship in 4 months. I called it summer camp, right? When everything is accelerated, right? And you're really trying to get to know each other because you only have this finite window of time. And some of those moments become lasting moments. Some of those people become longtime friends. And Ronnie Krenzel is one of those people, but even more so, I admired his creative genius. He had a wonderful way of sharing narrative and getting it out of people and inspiring it. And so as I started to understand more and more about this idea of GSD, I witnessed it there as we got that program done. So we'll be shopping it coming up here in the next few weeks, so put a lot of good energy out there. But we've got interest from several different channels, MSNBC, CNBC, the Learning Channel, A&E are all interested and want to hear about it. And so you're going to get actually an exclusive opportunity to see something from the show. So, I know, right? You're excited now, right? So, as I thought about everything and I really came to this conclusion, how do we actually chase greatness? How are we willing and audacious enough to say that's what we want to go after every single day? And if GSD is that thing, get stuff done, we want to do that, it's about greatness. It's about advancing the human condition. It's not about ourselves. And the more that we think about that, the more that we have to be willing to believe that. And so I wanted to do something for this gathering. So I'm involved with an organization called the Imagination Foundation. Some of you might know this story, Kane's Arcade. Kane Monroy from East LA is a little boy who created a cardboard arcade, but not just any cardboard arcade, the most elaborate, amazing, right, just genius, right? Kane literally designs this thing out of cardboard boxes on Saturdays because his father tried to find something for him to do when he came to work with him at his parts store, his parts shop in East LA. So he gave his son boxes, and Kane decides to design a cardboard box arcade, complete with little compartments to climb inside to feed tickets out to you. Kane gets a staff shirt, sits down, expects people to want to come and join in the fun, and they walk by him constantly because they're just going to get their parts and to go home. And then one day, magically, Nirvan stops. And he's curious. He's not looking at a device. He's not one-track mind. He's curious. And he turns to Kane and says, "What's this?" "It's my arcade." And he says, "Well, what are you going to do with that?" He says, well, you can play if you'd like. He says, "Well, how do you play?" He says, "Well, for 50 cents, you can play." He says, "But for $1, you can get a fun pass." He says, "Well, what's a fun pass?" He says, "A fun pass is unlimited play." Nirvan said he bought a fun pass, and he got mesmerized by this little boy. Nirvan's a filmmaker. Nirvan goes to Kane's father and says, "I'd like to do a flash cash mob for your son. Since people have been ignoring him, he told me I'm the first person to play, and I want to inspire him more." One thing leads to another. They agree to it. They surprise Cain one day. And there's hundreds of people there, and Nirvana films it, becomes a movie, and now it's a movement. Cain was 9 years old when that happened. He's 12 now. A foundation was built from that little boy's genius, that moment. Backstory, Cain stuttered at the time. Cain was getting ready to be left back in school. Cain is now gifted and talented, and he doesn't stutter anymore, and he is full of confidence. All from a moment of someone identifying his genius. Because that person was present and looked up. That person was curious. And so the Imagination Foundation has now been started. And they literally work with the next generation of leaders, makers, doers, and dreamers. They inspire young children to imagine possibilities. And they have a foundation. You actually can create your own chapter if you'd like. And they actually have details about an Imagination Foundation if you go there. But I decided on behalf of everyone who attended today, I did a donation to the Imagination Foundation because we're about the next generation. So you will be able to get those details from Celie. I actually did that, but I did it in a very special number. And some of you, if you who know numbers, there's an angel number, and the angel number is 444. And so I did $444 because what we're doing is big. This is the creative community here that's advancing things. And so the more that we realize we have a responsibility to the next generation because they're looking up to us. There are always little pairs of eyes watching us. Always. And we need to be mindful of that, right? Our actions matter, right? We should always be paying attention to that. And so I want to leave you with a simple little thought. My actions may seem small, but their collective impact will be great. Our actions may seem small, but their collective impact will absolutely be great. And we have to truly believe that and do our part. That's all we're asking of you. No more, no less. You do your level best every day. You live that hashtag GSD, right? Anything is possible. I'm living proof. I'm standing in front of you. A child abandoned, rescued by grandparents, raised by a book ball and betterment. That's why I'm here, being a little ornery, a little hard-headed, having some grit, but even more so recognizing that I can't do it alone, remaining curious, having wonder every day, staying humble, keep my energy right, surround myself with the right kind of people who believe in me but also hold me accountable. Anything truly is possible